All right, hello everybody. KV Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here with you for our nightly extended update on the forecast. A little bit more of a busier forecast all of a sudden as we closely watch the southwestern Gulf. This is where there's not a hurricane, it's not a tropical storm, it's not even a tropical depression, but we've got this loosely organized area of thunderstorms which still has a medium chance of developing into a formal tropical system before it moves into South Texas or northern Mexico tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. But even if it doesn't develop, still this could be an influx of tropical moisture, and increasingly it looks like at least a boost to our rain chances here in the Austin area as we go into Saturday. So that will be the main thing that we're talking about. We also have a stronger tropical system, Tropical Storm Aaron, out over the Atlantic. That definitely won't be an issue for Texas, but it could become a major hurricane. And then we've got the usual, we'll talk about the heat and other non-tropical related storm chances coming up here in a little bit. All right, live view this evening. Again, happy Thursday. Mainly it was just hot today, but we did have some hit or miss downpours, mainly over Llano, Mason, and Gillespie counties. Here's what we're tracking. Scattered storm chance for your Friday. I think tomorrow's going to be kind of like today, maybe a little bit more widespread, but we're kind of on the fringe of some of this tropical moisture. More of the tropical moisture moves in by Saturday. So Friday night into Saturday, that's when we have kind of a low end flood potential. Again, not area wide rain, but a boost to our rain chances thanks to this tropical system. And then overall, generally my forecast I would say is trending slightly cooler. And again, that does not mean I have 72 as a afternoon high in my forecast, but I think for the most part will be 90s rather than widespread triple digits. All right, here's another live view outside from our Zach Theater camera looking out over downtown Austin. Today we hit 102, which ties for our hottest day so far of the summer. We've hit 102, I need to look up the exact number, but like 5 or 6 times now, which is kind of incredible, but we've not gone above it. So 102 today, 100 at the airport, average is 99. Tomorrow though, this is kind of exciting. Starting tomorrow, our average goes from 99 down to 98, meaning that tomorrow we move officially out of what is climatologically the hottest part of the summer. Now, you know it's still going to be hot for quite some time, but we're moving out of what's the hottest part of the year. All right, area-wide, the highs today, Giddings hit 98. Other than some areas east and some areas west in the hill country, it was mainly low triple digits today. Cameron 100, Taylor Airport, same number. Georgetown 101, 102, and Austin 102, the high today for San Marcos. Here's where we sit now, sitting at 96 in Austin. Mainly mid-upper 90s, trying to see if we have any rain-cooled air in the hill country. Not really, even there it's in the mid-90s. But we did have some rain. You can see where this little narrow kind of band of showers and slow-moving downpours developed. And for most, especially over Llano County, it was heavy rain, sure, but it's like 30, 45 minutes, not a big deal. This one downpour, though, watch right here. Right here over Doss. That downpour went up and it sat, and that thing dropped some locally, very local, but very heavy rain. These are the radar estimated totals. I mean, we've got like over 4 inches of rain here. Pretty crazy. Again, this is not a big spot, but this is Onion Creek, not the Onion Creek in Travis County, but Onion Creek over northern Gillespie County. So there was a flood advisory for some minor flooding there. That will expire at 8:30. Again, the rain here has ended, but just kind of heads up, low water crossings, creek streams, still need to be mindful of that over northern Gillespie County. Okay, so that's what went on today. Now let's shift and let's talk about the tropics. So 2 systems. Obviously, this one is probably sticking out a little bit more to you. This is Tropical Storm Aaron, and this is going to become a major hurricane. This does not look as impressive, but this is a system that's going by 98L, and that's going to be the one that's more relevant to our Texas forecast. Before we focus in on that one, we'll spend time with it. Here's the latest. The 7 p.m. numbers are in for Tropical Storm Aaron. Winds are at 70, so it's closing in. This is going to be a hurricane here before too long. In fact, you can see by 2 a.m., so they just issued a new advisory. So they're probably going to update this cone too. You can see it's already outpaced what they had in the forecast for 2 a.m. tonight, but they've got it either way by tomorrow afternoon or earlier. Could be tonight, becoming a Category 1 hurricane. That would be our first hurricane of the Atlantic hurricane season. We've had a number of storms. Obviously, we're through the E name now, but we've not had a hurricane, and it won't stop at just a Cat 1. It'll go up to a Cat 2 by Saturday, then eventually Cat 3, major hurricane. I mean, you can see by 2 p.m. Monday, the forecast from the Hurricane Center brings us up to 120 mile per hour major Category 3 hurricane. Now, here's some good news. Looks like this will start to pick up some latitude here. So this will go north of the Leeward Islands, north of Puerto Rico, and then should start that more aggressive northerly hook before it gets to the Bahamas. And the idea is that this will stay off the east coast of the United States. And there's pretty good consensus on that. Again, these areas will need to keep watching things, but it looks like this is going to stay off the east coast of the United States. So that is Aaron. Now we go to Tropical Wave Invest 98L. And it is not looking very impressive at all tonight. It blew up. Honestly, I was looking at it this morning. It was like down here at this point. And I woke up this morning. I was looking at some of the forecast data, and I was like, well, that started to ramp up a little bit. And I was like, man, this morning it wouldn't have surprised me if we would have been talking about a tropical storm at this point. It started to interact with some wind shear, and it has not developed further. So hurricane hunters, they actually flew from Biloxi down to this system earlier this afternoon, and they were scanning around in there. They did not find a closed area of circulation. So in this part of the Gulf, in the Bay of Campeche, this is a very warm water, but again, it's got some wind shear it's dealing with. So I don't expect this to blow up into anything crazy and to become a hurricane. I would say most aggressive case scenarios, this becomes a brief tropical depression or low-end tropical storm, and even the odds of that are about medium right now, or about 40%. But either way, that's the system we're watching. I know everybody likes to see the spaghetti plot, so what are they showing? These are the 18Z, the afternoon runs that came in, and they bring the center of this storm into either far northern Mexico or far south Texas, and from there, in the center is going to move on shore like tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. And then from there, the center of it, what's left, is going to move inland to our southwest over the valley and then eventually out towards West Texas. But as we oftentimes talk about on these tropical situations, right, if you're on the left-hand side of the storm, you're on the dry side of the storm. If you're on the right-hand side or the east side of the storm, you're on the wet side of the storm. So again, even though this is not expected to become anything too crazy, this still is going to throw some tropical moisture our way. And I think it's going to be enough to boost rain chances and maybe even bring a flood threat to parts of our state. And as we go into the models, I will say the models really are not handling this well at all. Of all the models I look at, this is the one that I think has the best grasp on it. So I'm glad this obviously is what we have in-house and we can show it to you. The graph model, I think it's got a decent grasp, but Euro, GFS, high-res rapid refresh, NAM, you name it, these models are not really picking up on this. So there is some uncertainty here. These tropical forecasts are always tricky, and when we were talking about this at 5 and 6, just before we get too into the nitty-gritty here, just kind of make sure you're not completely unplugged from the forecast. I don't want anybody to be freaked out or panicked. Obviously, I know what happened with the tropical remnants of what we had back on July 4th and the tragic flooding that we had. That's not the type of situation I'm looking at here, but I do see some flood potential here depending on how the system unfolds. So just kind of make sure, if you're watching this, you're probably like a huge weather nerd and you're dialed in, but just make sure you're kind of staying tuned with us, and I'll be posting updates on socials too. You can search my name, Hunter Williams, or Hunt_WX on any social media platform. But either way, now we'll get into it. So here's 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and again, this doesn't really look like a formal tropical system to me. Maybe it's briefly a tropical depression, but basically we've got rain and storms off the coast of Brownsville, off the coast of South Texas. So that's 7 a.m. And it's swirling away, so the center would be like here. So this model would bring it on shore north of Brownsville, but south of Corpus. So that's the center. But on the northern fringe of that, this is already kind of throwing some tropical Gulf moisture our way by the afternoon into the evening on Friday, and even into like southeast Texas. So we're going to have like a 30% chance for showers and these little tropical downpours for Friday afternoon into the early evening of Friday. And then watch down here. So that system moves inland, and still this thing's trying to swirl some as we go Friday night into Saturday. Now we'll stop at 7 a.m. Saturday in this model. And I'll tell you, even this one, I think it's got a decent grasp of it, but it goes back and forth some. So we had a model update that came in for the early afternoon, and it looked a little bit different. But basically what I'm seeing in this model is I don't know exactly where this will set up. It very well could be south of our KVU area entirely, but I think somewhere in here there could be a band of heavy rain that drops 1 to 3 inches plus, maybe several inches of rain, and that obviously will bring a flood risk. But it's where does that happen? Is it south of our KVU area? Is it into our KVU area? That's kind of what we're going to need to watch. But so this model says here's 7 a.m. And then as we go into noon, it's kind of bringing some of these remnant heavy downpours into the hill country. And again, what this model shows is a pretty weak system, but you can just kind of get in your head, okay, well, what if it intensified a little bit more? What if this was more widespread rain in the hill country? Well, maybe it's dragging a flood risk into our area. But even on this lower end scenario, we've got this tropical moisture and we just have these hit or miss showers and downpours. I've got a 50% chance for hit or miss showers and downpours through the day on Saturday, and then weakening by Saturday evening, and then by Sunday I think we'll go back to a mainly dry weather forecast. So that model I just showed you, again, it's called the graph model. Here's the rainfall it's printing out through 10 p.m. on Saturday, and I've kind of highlighted this area where it's got a greater potential for locally heavy downpours of 1 to 3 inches plus. Now you will see this model, and again, if you're watching this in San Antonio, I'm not saying this is going to develop and be right over Bexar County. This could be in any number of places, but we're looking for signals, not exactly what's going to happen. We're looking for the signal, the broad idea. And it does generate this corridor of heavy flooding rains, that could be 3 to 6 inches or more. And I think it's very, very fair game for something like that to develop. It's where does that happen? This model shows that down south of our area, so it would bring, an inch or two of rain into San Antonio, and then the even higher totals would be south. Looking at our rainfall totals, again, even with this kind of low-end, loosely organized scenario, it still is bringing some 1 to 3 inch totals into parts of the KVU area, including Fayette County, Bastrop, Lee County, maybe into parts of Hayes County, and then down to the south. So I think you get the idea. There's going to be many areas this is not going to be a big deal at all. But I just want to give you the heads up, when we've got tropical moisture like this, I do see some efficient rain producers and potential for, in pockets, some areas of flooding, at least low in flooding, and maybe something a little bit more significant than that, depending on how this system unfolds. So when the new data came in today, we got some new updates from the Weather Prediction Center, the WPC, who does these excessive rain outlooks. So they've added, and I agree with this, they've added low in flood potential to our area. So Friday night, this includes southeastern areas of Austin, just a low in level 1. And then on Saturday, area wide, it's got a low in level 1 for just about the entire KVU area. It would not surprise me if they maybe updated like a level 2, especially down to our south. But for now, low in flood potential, but flood potential. So let's just make sure we're kind of dialed into things here and we're keeping an eye on it. After what happened back on July 4th, the last thing I want to do is scare anybody. I'm not seeing anything in the models right now that's saying, hey, widespread 20 inches of rain. I'm not seeing that, but I am seeing tropical moisture moving inland with a weakening system, and this is a setup, just pattern recognition. This is a setup where areas can see flooding. So I just want to pass that along to you. All right, tonight, partly cloudy, 77. I've got a 10% chance for evening rain. And then tomorrow, I've got 98 in the forecast, a 30% chance for scattered showers and storms, especially south and southeast of Austin as the outermost fringe of the tropical moisture starts to move in. Then we boost up to a 50% chance for rain as we go into Saturday. And then Sunday we'll be back to dry weather, and then this won't have to do with any sort of tropical anything. This will just be kind of hit or miss showers and storms as we go into next week. And you can see the temperatures, some 96s, 97s, also some 98s, 99s. It's going to be hot, but mid to upper 90s, I think generally speaking a little cooler than a lot of the weather that we've seen here over the past several days and over the past couple of weeks even. So that's what I've got for you. That was our detailed deep dive on the forecast. What we're going to do, if you're watching this on KVU Plus, I'm going to record a YouTube video, standalone YouTube video. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can stay tuned. We'll get that up in like 30 minutes or so. We'll do another update on this. During the 10 o'clock show, I will have a new run of that graph model. So if you're really dialed into this, you want to see the latest data, I will have new data for you at 10 o'clock. Otherwise, again, guys, just check in with us tomorrow. We'll let you know if something changes, or follow along on socials. Don't go to sleep completely on this forecast. It's just one of those we want to watch. I'm not panicking. I'm not freaked out about it, but again, just pattern recognition. It's one where you got to watch it. So we'll keep you updated. Next update from me will be KVU News at 10 o'clock, coming up in a little under 3 hours. Y'all have a good night, and I will talk to y'all later.